let's talk about Oddtaxi. This is a show that we reviewed at the request of Michael. We reluctantly reviewed this show after months and months and months of refusing to watch it on principle, because I don't support anything that has to do with anthropomorphic animals at all, ever.
Cole, don't you like B-stars?
Naturally.
I had to watch this because Michael nominated it. As we know, Michael is a furry, as we know.
Yep, it's true.
So now we're going to watch this show.
Mm-hmm.
And
we did watch the show.
We did watch the show.
Oh, you guys?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, you can't. Jay did this bit before. You can't do Jay's bit.
Okay. Jay, what did you think? What did you think that we thought of it?
Well, Cole hasn't seen it, so
yeah, it's true.
I don't know, but I think Mike liked it.
Yeah, and then I would probably say Cole, I'm sure, liked this show just because, like, I think it's one of those shows that you can just say is like objectively good. So Cole will probably appreciate that. Now, Jay is a wild card with this one. I truly have no idea what Jay thinks of this show. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to go middle of the road and just say he thought it was
I'm going to say Mike liked this show. Mike enjoyed this show. Jay, I'm going to say begrudgingly enjoyed this show.
Why do you say begrudgingly?
Because, like, it's not your type of show.
Yeah.
It's not your type of show.
Okay.
Like, I think that you respected the writing in it, but I think it just wasn't, like, I don't know, like, you don't strike me as, like, a crime drama type person.
Interesting.
All of the shows Jay really likes, too, have, like, a strong, like, waifu in it, too, and there is, like, literally no waifu in this show.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Now, I guess I should explain what the show's even about. So if you haven't heard of this show, it's one of those shows that, like, when you Google or like kind of look on AniList or stuff like that, what kind of caught my interest was it got a lot of hype. Not many people watched it because of what Jay and Cole were joking about, the anthropomorphic animal thing. It kind of came out after Beastars and all that, and sort of like I feel like those shows kind of put like a bit of mud in the water for any kind of like anthropomorphic animal shows, and it kind of like made it
hold on. Can you say anthropomorphic?
Anthropomorphic animals. Yes. I don't know. Come up with an easier word for that. Come on, man. Animal people. And like, it just made it a little awkward to, like, it's always going to be awkward to watch like people or animals that look like people doing people things or whatever. But there was enough hype, and like people whose opinions I respect clearly thought this show was like very good and an underrated masterpiece, blah, 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 all that stuff. And it even won a Crunchyroll award. I forget which one at this point. So basically the gist of the show is that Oddtaxi is a taxi driver, and he is also a walrus. And everyone around him is also animals. And there's basically like, it starts off with a high school girl goes missing, and everybody's trying to figure out where that went. And it's kind of like the B plot that's happening, and like the A plot at first seems to be kind of just like the adventures of Oddtaxi and all his like taxi drive, like everyone he picks up. And then it's like this kind of like a mystery that unfolds from that point forward. And like Cole and I discussed while we were waiting for Jay today, this show is going to be very heavy on the spoilers, because
I honestly hesitate to say this. Let's just go straight into what did we think of it, give our recommendations, and just dive into spoilers, because it's so hard to talk about this show without talking about spoilers, because what even is the plot? Like, the plot is spoilers.
Well, yeah, we just won't talk about the plot, but I think we should at least...
like, you can't talk about anything without
talk
spoiling
about stuff. Yeah, you can.
Yeah, I think you can.
Yeah, okay, let's try.
I think you just basically, we'll try, and then if we have trouble, we'll just dive into spoilers. But I would say this show, definitely go into it blind. You're going to want to really go for the ride that this show takes you on. The whole point is that you unravel the mystery as it's given to you. And trust me, they give you all the pieces, and then they all come together in the end. And you might not necessarily see where it's going, or there's some things that you will see where it's going, but it is well done and it's worth watching, I would say, for people, to kind of spoil my thoughts. The other thing I would say is, if you like shows, like if you're a Tarantino fan, this show is like very inspired by Tarantino, and it's interesting because it feels almost not very anime-y, if that makes sense. It almost feels like a live action show that they just like made an anime for or something. And actually there was like a theory when it was coming out that like people thought it was gonna like, the big twist at the end was that it was gonna be like a live action show, and that it was the whole time and blah blah blah. But yeah, again, like Cole said, we're talking spoilers at this point. But what did you guys think of it?
Cole, go first.
Okay. I really enjoy this show. It was very good. It was very well written. It suffers from the same thing that happens with like Tarantino movies, where the world is so small. Everything revolves around like a handful of characters, and they all of their plot lines interweave, and they all end up bumping into each other and stuff like that, which is, I think if you're going into something as like a realistic murder mystery type thing, it's not that. It's just a really well written story. Very tight. There's no loose ends at the end. It's satisfying. Yeah, it was very, very good.
Yeah, it does a good job of taking all the, like you said, all the loose threads and stuff like that. Like Chekhov's gun or whatever, right? Like where if it shows you something, it's supposed to do something. And literally everything in this is almost like obsessively like dealt with.
Yeah.
Very, very well crafted. Jay, what did you think? The real mystery one here.
Can we get a drum roll? I feel like this.
Oh, okay.
Let's play up to the mystique of my opinion. Okay.
That was the wrong drum roll.
Well,
this is drum.
I really like this show.
Okay. There is a god.
No, I think it was a really tightly written show. I really liked I really liked how like everything felt like it mattered and it made sense. I liked all the characters. I thought that they were all interesting. I think that there was like one set of characters that was like a little bit off to the side of everyone else, but like it still felt like all tight and well put together.
Who did you think was which characters are you talking about?
The comedy duo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get that.
It was like
they were kind of
they're like the
least impactful.
Yeah, like it was a little bit off to the side. Like there still was some connection to the main plot with them, but like out of everyone in the ensemble, it was them that would probably be the least impactful.
I appreciated the visuals in this show too. Like there's some spoiler stuff you can talk about, but like the way that the world looks is very unique, and even down to like that detail, like the way everything appears is even like a important thing to pay attention to, and you're like, wow, that's neat that they actually thought about that deeply.
And with the writing, I really liked the little detail, like I like the foreshadowing that was in this show.
Yes.
There's a line that said like right at the beginning, that like I went back to and I was like, oh my god, that was absolutely intentional.
Oh, for sure.
And I'll get into what I mean by that in the spoiler section, but like yeah, I think that like the foreshadowing in the show, there's like a picture that was taken at the beginning of the show, and like you look in the background, you see something, and then like it comes up and like it was there. So like there's a lot of little details that like if you just look around, you'll see them and you'll notice them.
It's just a very well written crime story.
Well written crime drama with
if you pay attention, you can solve the mystery.
Oh yes, it's all there for you. It's all there for you.
There's no like twists that just come out of nowhere. Like everything's there. And
which there's no Deus Ex Machina stuff or anything, right? Like
no. Like it has good red herrings too, I think. Like,
yes, it does.
There are some things that happen that made me go like, I think it's this, and then like there's a little bit more that it drip feeds you, and then you're like, oh no, it's definitely this, and then you'll slowly be led into the right direction. But like as like just a bit of a cop out here, I'd say like probably like the first episode or two we're free to talk about. Like
up until like the second half where things really start like all the pieces start getting together, I feel like it's not really very spoilery, if that makes sense. I feel like
the first 3 episodes really for like
it's just basically set up.
It's basically like Oddtaxi's picking up various people in his taxi, and like we're getting to meet and see the dynamic between all those different characters and how they kind of impact that kidnapping thing.
And like, Oddtaxi is like a suspect. They're kind of suspecting him. He picked up the girl who was kidnapped.
Yeah, like several characters throughout the show are kind of like, I don't think you did it, but I think there's like a 5% chance that you did it.
Like
he's not necessarily like a trustworthy guy.
And I mean, like there's also that locked box, like that James Gunn lockbox scenario that kind of makes you like question whether it actually is, along with other things that are introduced to make you question whether he's actually
to be trusted.
Yeah.
And he's talking to somebody in his apartment, and it
does a great job of like just making you think, man, I need to know what's going on. And like Cole said, it's all there.
Does this thing that like feels like a true crime, like that like true crime drama where like you go into the psyche of the killer, if you know what I mean, and it makes you like think like he's this is absolutely it.
The thing I always appreciate in shows is when they like to, when things ride the morally gray line. Like I thought the characters in this show, which it's crazy to say that they're not the best part of the show when they're all so fantastic. Like the characters in this show all have like clear established like motivations and like aspirations. You understand why they're doing what they're doing and what they're basically trying to do, right?
For sure.
And like, what was I gonna go with this? I forget. Like even like the little like the brothers, like the police brothers, like you kind of get what's going on there, and like things do get resolved. Like there's some things that kind of don't make sense, and then eventually will get resolved. And one thing I thought was really cool, and like don't watch this until you've watched the show, but like Mother's Basement did a what's in an OP for this. I know you guys are also fond of the Mother's Basement, and it is fantastic. Like it's amazing. He actually said it's like one of the best OPs of all time in terms of like all the stuff that it shows and like reveals. And I would highly recommend that. I'll link it in the YouTube cards or whatever here at this point.
What a great segue to discuss the OP.
Yes, that was
I like this OP for just how like different it is. It's so mellow.
I love how mellow it is. I love how aesthetically pleasing it is, and like also I love those like little details that are put into it that like really feels like it represents the show and tells the story of the show.
It really does.
I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but like it really does encapsulate Oddtaxi as a whole.
All of the different like character beats in the OP like tell their motivations. Tell their story.
Yeah.
Like you could watch the OP and get like a good idea of like what this show's about, I feel. Which is impressive, right? What do you guys think of the song?
Well, the song was good.
I thought the song was fine. Like I probably wouldn't listen to it as just like in a vacuum, but it fit the tone and the vibe of the show. Which
I could listen to the song in a vacuum in certain situations, like if you're just like chilling, you're just like vibing. It's vibey.
It is, that's a good word for it, vibey. Like it's like a nice like J R&B song. It's sweet. I actually watched. There's a first take of this song, which is quite good as well. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I think it came out to promote either the show or the whatchamacallit, the movie. Which, by the way, we were all misled. The movie is just a recap movie, and it's not, from what I gathered, not a very good recap movie.
Spoilers, I watched the end of the movie. So as I was fast forwarding through it, they did add a few things in there.
Did they?
They did some like talking head segments with the different characters, you could tell.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's just a compilation movie.
The movie does add like a little bit onto the end.
Yes, that was the big bit.
That you may want to check out if you're interested in a bit more in how the ending plays out. But I will say the ending is left a little bit ambiguous.
But yeah.
It's not. And we'll talk about that in spoilers.
Yeah. ED, though. ED was a bop.
Love the ED. I love
the visuals
ED.
were fantastic. The ED was so good. The song was amazing. You know what's like a crazy thing about the song? So you never asked me the trademark question, Cole.
Sub or dub?
I watched it dubbed, and it was great. It was a fantastic dub. And then at one point, because I was watching it, I noticed the subtitles that I have for the song didn't quite match what the singer was singing. And
wait, they dubbed over the song too?
All right. So
at the end?
So here's the weird thing. It is the same song. With like basically a few Englishish or like not quite English but Englishy words changed. It's strange. Like you wouldn't realize if you just heard it. It for all intents and purposes is the same song, but like I don't know. It wasn't bad. It was just like a strange choice to make to go like not even like a quarter of a remake of like it's like they just remade like a quarter of the song.
I'll have to go back and listen to it.
Yeah, it's just strange. I don't know why I felt like bringing that up, but it was just like I thought it was a weird choice.
I thought the voice acting in this was really good. Like the main character was kind of so deadpan.
I also really like the character designs. Like there's a whole thing about how the character designs need to be really intricate into the story, and like it actually like shows through the character desigins. So.
Yeah, I thought the character designs were great too.
Yeah,
because they all like are memorable, and you can like I say who's the monkey guy that he's the bad guy there, and then you can instantly picture his face. Dobu.
Yeah,
Dobu.
Yeah, names are not particularly interesting. And the one thing I thought too with the main character there, Otakawa, is because he's kind of deadpan and a little boring, and kind of like just like he's like a dude who's just like. Just clearly does not care anymore. He's just like, I just want to drive my taxi. Yeah, I just want to drive my taxi. Leave me alone. I make more than enough. I don't need all this. I'm fine. Just leave me alone. Let me do my thing. And like it does the way that they tackle making it not boring, because like that could very easily be boring to watch. A character who's basically just like, I don't care about any of this, is by basically having all this stuff happen around him. And then he just gets like sucked into the vortex of like the intrigue. Like they suspect him of the murder and there's all this other stuff happening. It's very, very good. It's again, Tarantino-y is almost.
He reminds me of like, if there was a live action of this, he'd be like Bruce Willis or something, you know?
Where he doesn't necessarily like want to do any of it, but it kind of, he's just like, I have to, you know what I mean?
He's just kind of thrown into it.
Is there anything you guys would change about this show? Because we were so far we've been kind of gushing about it. I just want to know if there's anything you guys didn't quite like.
Well, I kind of touched on it a little bit and how the world is too small. There is a lot of like contrivances, like convenient plot points in it. Like somebody shows up at just the right time to save somebody else, and it's like, why? How are they there?
I think that's something that's hard to avoid with a story like this.
Yeah, I think like it's more like that needed to happen for the and like I'm not saying that you're wrong to nitpick it. It's just like it just kind of needed to happen.
It's
a necessary evil
with a story like this. Everything is revolving around these characters anyway, so like that doesn't really bother me as much. I mean, I would have liked like there to have been something to specify why so and so was there, like show the other character sending a text or something.
There's a lot of stuff that seemed very convenient, and then sometimes it did show you like literally what you said, like a character sending a text, and that explains, instead of just having like a character show up at a crucial moment and do something, it shows one of the characters saying, hey, come here at this time.
There's just one glaringly specific scene that I'll call attention to when we go into spoilers.
I think I know which one you're talking about, Cole.
Where it was just like, what? What is happening?
Yeah.
The cool thing that I liked about this show too is the dialogue is like, again, as a Tarantino fan, it's it's like the perfect version of dialogue that you wish you could do, but like doesn't actually happen. Like the weird thing, like when he talks to the doctor there and he's like, yeah, it kind of came unexpected. Like when, what's his name came into the World Vision song or whatever, or Bruce Springsteen in the World Vision.
Yeah.
See, here's my question about that, because that's kind of a semi-famous scene in the show when they're going back and forth saying Bruce Springsteen.
Bruce Springsteen.
How do they say it in the dub? Do they just say Bruce Springsteen over and over again?
Yeah.
Because they're like, you just want to keep saying Bruce Springsteen. Say Bruce Springsteen 5 times fast. And like in English, you can just say Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
It's hard to say in Japanese.
Oh, okay. They didn't do that in the dub.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd have to. Yeah. In and of itself, though, that's, I mean, not to go off on a tangent about dubs versus subs. I'm interested in how they like resolve stuff like that.
It's cool. Like,
you know what? Bruce Springsteen 5 times fast.
Yeah, because it's not really a tongue twister for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna be a hot take. I feel like it, but I support localization of things that don't really make sense or translate like that. Like you capture the spirit of the conversation, and they don't have to necessarily say the same thing.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I'm interested in how localizations can be done to make it make sense.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think this one would be worth Cole if you are so inclined. It's honestly a really good dub. It fits everything, and again with like having the setting almost isn't very Japanese, so like the
this could take place in
really
anywhere,
any city,
like
New York kind of thing. LA noir type.
Yeah, it's kind of noir-y too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I forgot what I was going to say. Somebody else talk.
How many episodes would you say someone should check this out before they drop? And should they binge it or not?
5.
5?
5 and binge it. Go for it.
I think it's a great show to binge.
Yeah, no, this is a great binge show.
And it's easy to binge because it's got so many good cliffhangers at the end of the episodes where you're like, next.
Yeah,
it's definitely modern television. Like it's definitely modern Netflix.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like you watch Stranger Things, you get to the end of the episode and you're like, next, let's go.
Yeah. All three of us watched this within 24 hours, I think. Like when you started it, you finished it within 24 hours. Cause it's like you said, it's when it always ends on something. You're like, yes, I need the next episode now.
Yes,
give it
please.
to me. Yes. And I will say, if you're not feeling it, episode 4 or 5 is probably where I'd say like it starts to really resolve into things.
Here's the thing. This is very much like Steins Gate, where you almost need 6 episodes.
I was almost going to say,
like 5 episodes. If you're not feeling it, okay, I get it. But like on that 6th episode, that's when it's like, oh, now we're moving.
Yeah.
Now we're moving along and things are coming together and the whole intricacies of the plots are getting tied together.
It's like a juggler, right? Like you need to wait for all the balls to be in the air for him to really land the impressive trick, right?
Ooh, very good.
Which is kind of like what this show really is. And it takes a little bit of setup, and I was actually getting a little worried before I got to like the midway point of the show. I was like, this is just good. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And then just the way it resolves, it just takes it up to another level. Jay, I think you said 5 episodes as well.
Yeah, I'd say probably around like 5 or 6. Like honestly, I
just
think
watch
like
the whole thing. Just watch it.
Yes, all of it.
Just watch it. Honestly,
just watch the show.
Just watch
I mean,
it. Just
like
watch the show.
honestly, like it feels like such an easy watch that like
that's why
I feel like if you are by like episode 4 and you're just like I can't, then like I don't think that there's anything that's going to be introduced into the story to keep pushing you through. Cause like by episode like 4-ish, basically like all the groundwork's been laid and the rest is just kind of like building on top of it.
Whatever episode it reveal is the episode with the gamer dude who's searching for the dodo. Right. That's when I think it really takes off. So if you get to whatever episode that is,
that's introduced. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then everything starts all coalescing and the story actually like kicks off. Yeah. So I'd say at least get to like that point, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, okay, I get this.
Yeah, I think that was like episode 5 or 6 or something like that.
I will say, just as a parting, because I think we're going to go into our recommendations and whatnot right away. if you're like me and you don't care about spoilers, stop. Don't spoil this for yourself.
Yes, I agree. 100%.
It's worth not watching,
This
or
is
it's
one of
worth
those shows
watching without
yeah.
spoilers. You feel rewarded if you guess plot points correctly. You feel good.
It's almost like that's part of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Is like trying to. It's actually like a mystery that you're trying to unravel as well.
It's like a Sherlock Holmes novel.
So
yeah.
I do agree. I think that this show is best watched blind. But if you go back, if you do happen,
it's
to
also
yourself,
rewatchable.
It's super rewatchable to go back and like see all the little like things you didn't notice before. Now that you know, which is the mark of a good mystery. You know, like if you're able to pinpoint all those little details that are put in now that you know everything.
A good mystery has two watches. The initial watch where everything's revealed and you get that catharsis from it, and then the rewatch where you're
looking for the foreshadowing.
Piece everything together, and your mind is just blown.
I'm reminded of like Shutter Island or something like that, right?
Shutter Island or that one with Kevin Spacey. I can't think of what it's called. Yeah, you know the one.
You know what we're talking about.
That said, and I think we're just about to go into spoilers. I got spoiled on this show.
Oh no!
Oh, I actually didn't get spoiled.
So
I didn't get spoiled at all.
I didn't get the catharsis that I think you two did. I knew what was going on. I knew what was happening. So like I got that like second watch experience of like being able to look.
It's
through.
pretty, for what it's worth, Jay. I'm sure Cole had as well because he's a genius of a man.
Stop here.
Why?
Because let's talk about that in spoilers. Because I don't want to talk about that.
Do you guys want to talk anything about the characters and stuff like that and animation before we go there?
Well, I think the show is carried by its characters, like all of the different quirky characters and their different like personalities and they're different, clashing.
And like how they're all intertwined together. Like, I remember while I was watching the show, I like pictured myself as Charlie Day from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, trying to piece everything together, being like, because like that's just how everything is like so tightly woven together. That you can do that.
They're all like we kind of alluded to. They're all so interesting on their own that they kind of carry. Like there's a whole episodes where like you don't see anything really but one character, and like it's enough to carry you through, and it like reveals enough about them that carries them the rest of the story. Like, and there's also characters that really don't get a lot of the time in the spotlight, but they're just so interesting on their own. Like that rapping guy. I forget his name. Yano. And he's just so interesting on his own, right? And like,
and important.
And every character in this show is. I'd argue that there's not really an unimportant character in this show.
No, it's
or an unimportant scene. Honestly, like every scene means something.
You watch a show like this, and you're like, it'd be nice if they like trimmed some of the fat. There is no fat here to be trimmed. It's such a tight. Not. Like I don't know how they'd make the. I don't know how they did the movie. I don't know how.
I hear it's not great for that reason because the pacing's off. Like the pacing is perfect in this anime, you just couldn't. I don't think you could.
I do kind of agree with Cole that like the world does feel a little bit small. Like there are some times where like I'm watching the show and I'm like, why are these the only characters at this place in this specific time? Where is everybody else?
Yeah, like every time they showed
the characters
the bar,
introduced are like connected.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I guess that's part of the story. They wouldn't be in the story if they weren't part of the story. Okay,
but like, I mean, like you could have some extras or something like be there, but like it just, I don't know.
Another thing too. Oh, did you have more to say, Jay?
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say one last thing before we kind of head into spoilers. I guess I'll say my like last little thoughts here. I always really appreciate a show too where it teaches you things along the way and makes you ask questions about yourself and the world around you. And that's what this show kind of does while being a compelling like mystery. I don't want to say it's a murder mystery because it's kind of really not. It's more of just a mystery in general.
Just a crime like a puzzle drama.
Yeah, it's very.
I'd say it's a crime drama.
Yeah, like there was one scene there where like one of the characters is talking to another, and he's like, "You listen." Your extreme hatred of yourself is narcissism. because normal people don't think about themselves that much. And I actually like kind of paused it for a second when he said that, and I thought about it. I'm like, wow, that's like a really like deep and powerful thought to have.
Yeah.
And it's just like basically like a throwaway line that just like resolves like one part of the show, right? Like
one little thread, yeah.
Yeah. And like when a show can just take like little things and just every single thing has meaning and makes you think about the world and yourself and like just existence and has like deeply philosophical, that's impressive.
Yeah, and the delivery of it, like who delivers that line. It's like one of the heaviest lines in it, and it's like from the last character you'd expect to say something like that.
Yeah. And then it's just it's
it keeps you on your toes. The show is a edge of your seat mystery.
Yep. I forget what we decided at the end of the last review. Are we rating and stuff before the spoilers or no?
We will rate before. Yeah, that's how the list goes. Ending thoughts and rating, and then we'll go into spoilers.
So that way, and I guess we're revealing, or we already did reveal at the beginning of the thing. But yeah, what are your guys' last little? What do you guys want to talk about before we dive into spoilies and stuff?
If you're on the fence about watching this and you're kind of second guessing the whole anthropomorphic thing, you watch Beastars and you didn't really jive with that. Watch this. If you're on the fence, just watch it. Just throw on episode 1 and say goodbye to 4 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting because you almost forget that they're animals midway through.
You do.
It's weird. It's weird how it works. Once you get past the little weird art style and like the anthropomorphic characters, it's great.
It's a great show. Protagonist, easy.
Yeah, I won't even beat around the bush either. It's clearly a protagonist. I couldn't in any conscience give it anything else. Yeah. What are your ending thoughts, Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, I feel like I was deceived on this show a little bit, and I think that's kind of the point.
Yeah, I want to get into that a little bit too.
Yes.
Yeah, keep going though.
When I went into the show, I thought it was going to be something akin to like Zootopia, where it was just like a world of animals, and then it was going to explore that world and kind of like reflect our own world onto like this fantastical world of animals and that kind of thing.
That's kind of what I expected too coming in.
But it's very, very different from that, and the psychology and the philosophy of it, as well as the drama and everything around that, was very compelling, very interesting. And if you like interesting characters, interesting dramas, and things like that, definitely check this out. It's a very, very interesting show. I will say I don't think that there was, and this is like a personal enjoyment thing, I don't think there was anything that like bumped it up to like a masterpiece for me. But like, again, that's like a personal enjoyment thing.
Yeah. There's one scene
it is still very good.
Yeah. Just kind of like jumping off what you're saying. There's one scene towards the end that personally bumped it into like the masterpiece for me, I think. But we'll get there right away.
Yeah. And I just want to say this before Jay gives his rating.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the whole advertising campaign for this show.
What was the advertising campaign?
Like it was like they advertised too much of it like being this quirky show about animals when the animal aspect of it is so secondary. That's just like
it's almost not even like
it's not important.
It is addressed. It does matter.
Yeah,
it's just like it's.
But like for the balance of the show, like it's such a B plot. Like
I just remember like when the trailer came out for Oddtaxi. I think it came out during the Crunchyroll Awards, and I was just like, what? That's so. It's got this weird name. It's got this weird art style. Silly. It looked goofy, and then it came out, and it was like, oh, apparently it's really good. I'm not watching it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did, and it was really good.
And we forced you. Yeah.